Today on PGTV News, the coronavirus continues to spread across the country and Florida. We have steps on how you can protect yourself and what county officials are doing to protect you from outbreak.
And we're getting closer to the official count of the 2020 census. We have information on how your information will be protected and how you can help out during this once-a-decade survey. That's coming up on PGTV News. Well, the coronavirus continues to spread, but authorities are taking precautions to prevent an outbreak right here in Polk County.
While confirmed cases are in Florida and Governor DeSantis has declared a state of emergency, coronavirus has not appeared in Polk County yet as of March 12th. The World Health Organization has declared COVID-19, more commonly referred to as coronavirus, as a pandemic, but officials are working to prevent a local outbreak.
The county's 911 dispatchers are using emergency infectious disease surveillance tool to screen calls for possible infections. If a caller requests help for a sick individual with respiratory symptoms or breathing issues, the dispatchers will start a series of questions asking about recent travel and contact with people who have flu-like symptoms.
2 polling locations have been moved from 2 Lakeland senior living facilities due to the CDC's guidelines for handling coronavirus. Those who normally vote at the estates at Carpenters or Florida Presbyterian homes should check with the Polk Supervisor of Elections office for the change in location.
And many Polk businesses and county offices have acquired more hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes. They're also cleaning door handles and other commonly touched areas, as well as moving many face-to-face meetings to telephone or video conference.
Healthcare officials urge you to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds after blowing your nose, coughing, sneezing, going to the bathroom, and before eating or preparing food. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Cover a cough or sneeze with a tissue and then dispose of the tissue.
The CDC reminds you that face masks should only be used for those who have confirmed cases of coronavirus or for healthcare professionals who work with at-risk patients. If you have any symptoms of COVID-19, such as fever, cough, and shortness of breath, you should contact your healthcare provider as soon as possible.
I think it's important to note that not only should you wash your hands after coughing or sneezing, but if you're in a populated area, just be aware and just wash your hands more.
Right, and don't touch your face like I just did.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so hard because you want to push your hair, you want to scratch. I mean, it's just a human reflex.
You know, if anything good comes out of this whole situation, it's going to be that we're going to be much more aware of viruses and how easily spread they are. I think we've taken for granted the fact that, you know, we've had flu vaccines for many years now, and the spread is somewhat limited because we have these things in place to help it. But I think it's good for the public to understand like how easily this stuff is spread around.
Right, and hopefully through this increased awareness of all of these precautions, the flu will be lessened this year as well.
Yep.
If you register to vote as a Democrat or Republican before February 18th, then you'll be able to vote in the primary going on now. The presidential preference primary election is March 17th, and polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your designated polling location. Visit polkelections.com to find out your polling location. Remember, Florida is a closed primary state, so registered voters with no party affiliation or with minor party affiliation are not eligible to vote in the primary. You have until October 5th to register to vote in the November 3rd general election. If you voted by mail for a candidate that has since dropped out, you will not be able to recast your vote. If you have filled out the mail-in ballot but not sent it in yet, then you can either request another mail ballot or you can cast your vote on March 17th. Officials ask that you bring your mail ballot with you to your voting location to be voided.
The presidential election isn't the only election happening. A few Polk County cities are holding municipal elections on April 7th. Citizens of Bartow, Davenport, Haines City, Lake Hamilton, Lake Wales, and Mulberry need to be registered to vote by March 9th in order to vote in the April 7th elections. Bartow and Davenport residents will be voting for their respective City Commission Seat 4. Residents of Haines City will be choosing their city's Commission Seat 3. Lake Hamilton residents will be voting for the Town Commission Seat 3, as well as 2 proposed charter amendments. In Lake Wales, voters will be choosing who will fill seat 5 in the City Commission. And in Mulberry, City Commission seats 1 and 3 are up for election. Early walk-in voting will be available March 23rd through April 6th. Check polkelections.com for polling locations and times. Get out and vote.
Absolutely. It's very important, especially for your local elections, to make sure you're involved and you know where the candidates stand. And
we've said it before, local elections, truthfully, in my opinion, are even more important than
the national
elections. These are the people that are making the decisions that affect you and your neighbors. I mean, directly affect you. And it's important to have people that you can trust, important to have people that have your back. So get out there and vote.
Everyone needs to check your mail for the official census kickoff information that should be in your mailbox. They were all mailed out by March 12th. You might be worried about the security of the information that you give in the survey, but U.S. Census Bureau explains why there's no need to be worried.
Every 10 years, a census is taken in the United States of the people and the populations who reside here, and we can help.
The 2020 census is important because it's about more than just counting bodies. The census is important because the numbers that are tallied in that census impact every phase of American life.
Faith leaders are trusted voices in the communities, so it's essential that they speak to their congregations and encourage them to be counted in part of this 2020 census. It's essential because we also serve many of those people that benefit from the federal funds that will come from the data collected from the census.
It affects their children's schooling. It affects social service agencies and programs within their community. It affects libraries getting funding. It affects really all of our lives, and if we can't have our trusted sources like our faith communities, like our houses of worship, they have to be the ones preaching this message.
I think it's important for faith communities to be involved because in many ways, one of the voices of faith leaders and the faith community as a whole is really trying to connect the past to the present to the future.
Community events are really helpful for helping faith leaders understand and start to have the language to be able to express why the census is important with a spiritual lens. It helps get faith leaders involved and activated. We have a faith leader pledge, so we're asking faith leaders to first get educated about the census, know what's involved, know the key details, the timing, making sure and working towards your congregation being counted.
So in a very practical way, faith leaders can preach on the census, right? They can include census facts in their sermons. They can talk about the census in their announcements, put an insert from the Census Bureau in their weekly bulletins. They can host a Census 2020 event in their congregation.
As a leader in my community, I will encourage my congregants and those that I'm in touch with to take part of this census, and because it matters, and because each one of them matter, and each person matters.
This is really about districting, representation in Congress, and it's also about the allocation of government resources. If we're not counted numerically, then those resources are not going to be allocated to our community.
Well, it's important for faith leaders like myself to be involved in the 2020 census, and the Hispanic community looks to its leaders to be trusted voices. If we say this is something that is safe and secure, is going to make a difference in our lives, they will participate.
The census is safe, secure, and confidential. The information cannot be used against someone. It's to benefit our communities.
Let them know how important census.
Step forward and make sure that you are counted, because you do count.
If you are a faith leader, it is so important that you first recognize the importance of the 2020 census, how it is directly connected to improving the quality of life of those in your community for the next 10 years. It is time to get aware. It is time to move our communities forward. It is time to complete the census.
Shape your future.
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 And there's still time to help out during the 2020 census. The U.S. Census Bureau is hiring for temporary part-time positions. Joni Crestwell with the Census Bureau has more on how you can apply.
Welcome to Be a Census Taker, 2020 Census Jobs. My name is Joni Crestwell and I'm with the U.S. Census Bureau. We'd like to share how easy it is to apply for any of the thousands of open jobs in communities across the country.
The application process happens online and takes about 30 minutes. You'll answer simple questions about your education, work, and other experience. Because the Census Bureau needs to fill thousands of positions across the country, recruiting efforts are already underway. Apply now, and your application remains in the applicant pool for the entire 2020 census cycle. You can also update the information on your application at any time by logging into the account you created when you applied and submitting the changes. After you submit your application, you can keep track of your status by logging into your account. You'll also receive email notifications. We'll reach out to potential hires to conduct a phone interview. The job offers are made verbally and followed up by a confirmation via email. The next step is to schedule an appointment to get your fingerprints done for the background check. Once your background check clears, you will be scheduled for training. The details for training will be determined by the position and operation for which you've been selected to work. Most importantly, you'll be paid for training time. Now, you're probably wondering about scheduling. That's one of the great features of these jobs. The hours are flexible and include days, evenings, and even weekends. And jobs for the 2020 census offer competitive wages that are paid weekly, along with authorized expenses such as mileage. It's a great way to earn some extra income and play an important role in shaping the future of your community.
Be a part of this historic event. Join the 2020 Census team. Applying online is easy. Visit 2020census.gov/jobs and click the Apply Now button. If you'd like to learn more before you apply, please watch additional videos in this series. Thanks again.
So the census actually pays quite a fair wage. I think it's about $17 an hour for their census takers.
That's pretty good.
So they encourage everybody to go out and apply, and I mean they work around your schedule so you can actually fit it around your full-time job.
Nice. And when it comes time to knock door to door, you get some good exercise getting in and out.
You do. You make sure you wear your steps tracker so you can keep track of your steps. A new bill is making its way through the Florida legislature that would change a current government transparency law and could affect how colleges and universities here in Polk County hire new administrators. SB 774 would modify the Sunshine Law currently in effect that makes public the names of those who apply to become a state university or college president. With the bill passing through the Senate Rules Committee and the House passing the companion measure HB 7081, advocates of the bill say it's necessary to protect possible candidates to those positions. Senate Education Committee Chairman Manny Diaz says that since 2012, Florida universities hired 7 presidents, but not a single current president of a major university applied for one of these vacancies. Diaz says this is because sitting presidents won't apply in Florida due to the Sunshine Law, as the public application could compromise a current position. Opponents of SB 744 say that the Sunshine Law is necessary to see how Florida taxpayer money is being spent. Eric Gosnell, president of Communication Workers of America Local 3101, says that this bill would hide how the state is spending money and the candidate searches should be public.
Well, a bill to merge a Polk County university into the University of Florida died in the Florida legislature. A few weeks ago, we told you about a bill that would make Florida Polytechnic University a satellite campus of the University of Florida. The bill's sponsor, House Higher Education Appropriations Chairman Randy Fine, said that the bill was intended to save the taxpayers of Florida money and that the cost of a degree at Florida Poly is significantly higher than the degree at a state school. When asked about details of the merger, Fine was unable to offer specifics on how much the bill would save, how long the merger would take, or which school would be identified on diplomas. The bill was abandoned in the House and the Senate and had no plans for a companion bill before the scheduled March 13th end of the legislative session.
I, for one, am glad that this failed. I would hate to see us lose another local university.
Well, I think the big thing is that this all came as a very big surprise. I highly doubt that this is the last you'll hear of it.
No,
but certainly the last we'll hear of it for this session until some more data can be gathered and more facts put together on the proposed plan.
That was definitely needed. Schools in Polk County are becoming safer. More than 150 public and charter schools will implement a single point of entry system. The improvements to the schools have included additional fencing, construction, and even a campus layout change at one school. So far, 135 schools have been updated, with another 20 in the works. Sheriff Grady Judd has said that school safety has been a long-standing priority for the county. We're still having to put some infrastructure in place, but our goal is that once school lets in the doors, the fences are all locked, and you can only enter and leave the school from one location, Sheriff Judd said. The price tag on the changes for each school can range anywhere from $14,000 to $100,000. Sheriff Judd has said that some of the money has come from the district, but much of the money came from the state level, with the legislature funding training and equipment for security. In almost 7 months, Polk County deputies have responded to 7 school lockdowns. In all cases, there was no immediate threat. Anything that makes schools safer is great. I mean, I know that every one of my kids' school, you literally have to go up to a door and buzz yourself in, and you can't just get on campus anymore.
Well, and I know a big concern was that these fences can be really ugly and, of course, expensive, and they're trying to find ways to kind of get around that. But, I mean, when it comes to aesthetics or safety, I think parents would choose safety every time.
Agreed.
Polk County has been awarded a new honor, Best Tasting Water. The American Water Works Association held the 2020 Best Tasting Drinking Water Contest recently, and Polk County was the winner among 7 county regions. Here's a look at the event.
This event is the Best Tasting Drinking Water Contest. This is Region 4, which covers 7 counties. My name is Pam London Exner. I'm the Vice Chairperson for the Best Tasting Drinking Water Competition for Florida Section A WWII Region 4. We have 6 judges for the event. We look at drinking water from the utilities in the area. It's open to all, private and public. We have 23 this year. It's bragging rights. They look for color, they look for taste, and they look for the odor of the water.
This is actually a really difficult event to judge. You can imagine trying to compare different drinking water. It's pretty tough. My name is Mandy Rice. I'm the Assistant Executive Director at the Water Management District. It takes a lot of focus, and I'll try my best to really make sure I taste all of them and really give it my best here.
The winner, Polk County Utilities.
They've been waiting a long time for this to happen. They never thought that this day would come, and we're happy for everyone.
This is interesting. That was kind of cool. They're tasting water like a wine tasting and a competent, little sips. And
Yeah, I think I prefer soda tasting or a taco tasting, but
our producer said, so, when you're doing a taste test, they usually rinse with water. So what do you rinse with after tasting water?
tacos.
Tacos. All right, Tina.
Polk County has a new honorary deputy sheriff, a World War II veteran. 97-year-old J.J. Corbett was honored recently by Sheriff Grady Judd in Bartow. Corbett served as a sergeant in the Army's 55 Parachute Infantry Battalion, the first all-black paratrooper unit during the Second World War. After serving, he taught math and coached track and field at Union Academy and Bartow High School until retiring in 1980. After retiring, Corbett stayed active and involved with the Polk County School Board, as well as several nonprofits such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, Goodwill, and United Way.
Mr. Corbett's been a key member of the community here in Polk County for a long time.
And he's actually been featured on PGTV. for Polk Pioneers, and I've had an opportunity to meet him, and he is hilarious. So
he's quite the character for sure. The Winter Haven Public Library now has a new area for kids with autism. The library recently unveiled its new sensory room for children on the autism spectrum for those who have focusing issues like ADHD. The room includes interactive toys such as a bubble tube, infinity tube, fiber optic lights, a tactile toy wall, and a screen that plays calming scenes. All the toys and equipment are customizable, can change colors, or play sounds. The room also features a bench that children can use to listen or feel relaxing vibrations. The sensory room equipment and renovation all cost about $42,000. The money to pay for the project was donated anonymously. The sensory room is free to the public but does require an appointment.
So a lot of my friends' kids have autism, and the library has always been a favorite of theirs because it is a quiet environment. So it's even more awesome that it's actually enhancing that experience for them.
You know what I love about this story is that this came from a generous donation from the public. And again, we see how the Polk County community pulls together. They see a need and they fulfill that need. And I think that's really something special about where we live. There's lots of people chipping in to make it a better community.
Absolutely, and it's great for everybody. The King of High Wire announced his next major event will be at LEGOLand Florida Resort. Just 2 days after he performed his stunt over an active volcano, Nick Wallenda said he will walk the plank from inside LEGOLand Florida to their new Pirate Island Hotel to celebrate its grand opening. Wallenda will walk across a wire about 600 feet long and about 80 feet in the air. For this walk, he'll use a balancing pole made entirely out of Lego bricks. The stunt will unfold live on Thursday, April 16th.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't make the wire out of Legos somehow. It just seems like they can do anything with those Legos.
Have you ever stepped on a Lego? You don't want.
May not be what you want to high wire.
Yeah, you don't want to walk about that. But how cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, this is big. Nick Wallenda is a huge name in entertainment, so that's pretty cool that he's making it over to LEGOLand to help them break
right
in
here in Polk County.
Yep. Well, a local hot air balloon festival was temporarily put on hold recently as 16,000 unexpected guests arrived. Bees. During the Up, Up, and Away festival in Lakeland, a queen bee and about 16,000 friends interrupted the festivities during a rest stop between changes in nesting locations. The bees collected on a cart that was being used to tether the hot air balloons. The Lakeland Fire Department, concerned about so many bees concentrated around so many people, called firefighter Jonathan Beal, who also is a professional beekeeper. Beal showed up with a portable beehive, attracted the bees to it, and soon collected the entire group. The Hot Air Balloon Festival was able to get back off the ground after Beal's intervention.
Thanks for watching PGTV News. The board review is coming up.
But first, take a look at some events going on in the area on our community calendar.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon? You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome to the Board Review with news about your county government. I'm your host, Tricia Pichette. Today you'll learn about County Commission actions from the March 3rd, 2020 board meeting. The Hodge Street Water Production Facility is getting an upgrade following board approval at Tuesday's meeting. Once upgrades are completed, this facility will become the primary source of supply for meeting the long-term water demands for the Waverly Public Water System. This project will install equipment necessary to improve water quality and reliability in the Waverly area by adding a storage tank and carbon filters to the treatment process at that location. The construction contract was awarded to Senn State contractors for about $2.4 million, which also included an amendment to the Utilities Community Investment Program expansion budget. Change order number 1 to a construction contract with Hinterland Group, Inc. for the Southwest Regional Utility Service Area Inflow and Infiltrations Project Phase 1A was approved by the board and will cost about $160,350. The board approved Amendment 2 with Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. for the Lake Wilson Road widening project, which is expected to cost about $187,171. During the County Attorney Michael Craig's portion of the agenda, the board approved a resolution supporting commercial air passenger service from Lakeland Linder International Airport. The resolution commits the county to financial support as a last resort to help attract commercial airlines to the city through a provision of up to a $1 million security deposit to support losses that may be incurred by the service provider. The board proclaimed March 5, 2020 as Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber and Women for League of United American Citizens International Women's Day. Ana Rivera, representing the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Polk County, accepted the proclamation.
As you know, women's in politics and STEM, we need to make sure that the women in this county and in this country are the voices going forward, especially during this time when we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the right to vote for women.
It was also proclaimed that March 9th through 13th and March 16th through 20th was Polk County AgriFest Weeks. Paul Webb of the Polk County School Board and Carol McKenzie, Executive Director of the Polk County Farm Bureau, accepted the proclamation.
Each year, the committee, we get together 9 months out of the year working on lesson plans, and we want to make sure that those lesson plans, in addition to agricultural production, that they also include important topics such as nutrition, conservation, and land stewardship, which are things that we all believe highly in, and I know you as leaders of the community face those topics each and every day in your duties as well.
In public hearings, during the afternoon session, the board held several public hearings on a variety of items. Those items up for consideration included 2 separate measures during which the board approved a request to reactivate and expand an existing gypsum storage facility on about 1,035 acres near Mulberry and rescind the Mosaic LLC gypsum stack extension development of regional impact. A large-scale comprehensive plan text amendment, along with a large-scale land development code change to amend the US 27 selected area plan, will allow non-full median access to US 27 from the Professional Institution X future land use designations were approved in separate measures Tuesday. In its final action of the day, the board adopted an ordinance that amends the Polk County Economic Development Ad Valorem Tax Exemption Ordinance. Well, that wraps up this edition of the Board Review. To keep current with programs and progress in the county, visit us online at polk-county.net or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We encourage you to join us at the next scheduled board meeting at 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. I'm Tricia Pichette. Thanks for watching.